I've known Trevor going on 15 years now, and we started out just as best friends in college. He tried to get notes from me because he was lazy and just wanted to focus on getting drafted and playing baseball, and even though he's brilliant, and I refused to give him notes because I was like, I know you're smart and I'm not helping you with this. And we just kind of developed a friendship from there. I think it's unique and special to kind of look back and see how we went from this dynamic where just best friends, him teaching me baseball, me asking what probably a lot of guys would look at and be like, that's a stupid question. Me asking a lot of those. And him just freely explaining, no judgment. To being in a position where I eventually, many years later, which people don't realize, like people think, oh, just overnight because I had a best friend, like that this is how I came onto the scene. But they don't realize like the 8 years or whatever that went into getting there. But eventually, after a lot of years, I got to a position where I sat Trevor down and I had to sit his dad down. And that was probably one of the toughest sells I've ever had to make, and convince him that I can do this for you now. Now I know more in a certain area than you do, and I can do a really good job for you. Like, give me this chance.
Hello, congratulations.
Successful you.
Trevor's always been incredibly selfless and wants to help people around him, but you know, when it comes to especially like his career, he's not an idiot. And he wouldn't just, I think, blindly help a friend risk his career. From the beginning, it was never the plan of someday I'll represent you. It just kind of ended up coming to this point where we were like, hey, maybe this makes sense, like, and I could do the job. And, you know, he wanted to give a friend an opportunity to do that. When he realized, like, you put in the work, you know your shit, like, I'm gonna give you this chance. And, you know, I was able to finally get to that place where I was an expert in an area that he wasn't now. On February 5th of 2021, we secured a record-breaking contract for Trevor. And I have never felt that type of, holy crap, we did it. And I always believed like we were gonna get him a great deal, but we had an uphill battle. There's so many tweets in the media, and I remember there was this account that he's like, pretends to be, I think, like an MLB exec, but it's like a burner account. And he would be tweeting from the beginning of Trevor's free agency, because he was the top free agent that year on the market. And they were saying like, well, Trevor would have been projected to get a great deal, but you know, he's switch to this agent that has no experience, and he'll be lucky if he can get a $30 million, AAV or a $30 million a year deal. They didn't think that was possible. And I loved that tweet because he's right. We didn't get 30 million a year, we got 40. So we had to get really creative with how we structured it, but at the end of the day, we were able to do it where we still guaranteed you 85 million in 2 years. So we're on cloud 9. In February, Trevor signs. It's a record-breaking deal. It feels like things can't get any better.
Okay, rushing out the door to go catch our car to the field. He's gonna be a Dodger today.
That was like kind of a culminating moment of so much work and doubt and success that ended there. It was a really special moment. And then the reality of Trevor being a target. He's the highest paid player in North American sports now, but he doesn't really change his habits, his lifestyle, his friend group, the people he chooses to interact with. Kind of still lives a life in some ways that is very naive. And a few days before June 29th, we get a call from the San Diego woman who decided to frame him. And we get a call from her lawyer she hired, and they're basically like asking us for money and saying they're gonna file a domestic violence restraining order. And which was a absolute joke. But there are evil people, and there are greedy people, and when you are in the limelight, and when you are a celebrity, and when you are the highest paid player in baseball or in North American sports, you're a target. And this isn't the first person that it's happened to, but Trevor's probably one of the first that refused to pay, just to give in to their demand to make them go away and give them what they want.
I did not do what I was accused of. And every institution that our society is entrusted to rule on issues like these, like courts, judges, law enforcement officers, prosecutors, they all agree with me. They've rejected every single claim made against me, even going as far as charging one of my accusers with a felony.
Initially, actually, my partner, John Fedoroff, lives in DC. And we had planned all along that when they played the Nationals, the 4th of July weekend, that they had an off day. I was gonna go out there too, and he lives out there, John Fedoroff, and at his house we were gonna have this barbecue and celebrate Trevor's contract because we hadn't had a chance to all be together. And I'm on my flight to DC. I had a layover in Salt Lake City, and I remember my flight was delayed, so the day already kind of sucked. And then I saw tweets come out that a San Diego woman has filed a restraining order against Trevor Bauer. And that might have been one of the worst days of my life. I get in super late to one of the DC airports at like 1 a.m. and somehow paparazzi from TMZ had found me. They were all waiting at like baggage claim. I was obviously like trying to deal with so much stuff coming in and all right, what are we doing? Like, we got to deal with this. It was one of the worst weekends of my life. Probably worse for Trevor, but someone that you care about a lot, to see them go through what he went through. I remember we went to my partner John's office there, and I remember Trevor just laying on the floor with his hands on his face of like, what is happening? Like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, I did nothing wrong. It's pretty wild in just a few months to go from cloud 9 to rock bottom, and all of that so public, both of those events. Those weeks, those months, the last few years, I mean, have been some of the most challenging years of my life, surely of his life. We have conversations with MLB. Initially, they weren't going to put him on admin leave or anything because I think they kind of maybe saw what it was for what it was. But then with all of the media that attacked Trevor, and it just blew up. For PR reasons, they had to. First they said, because all these articles are coming out, well, Trevor's still pitching, and oh my God, he's gonna pitch July 4th. So they then put him on admin leave, I believe the 2nd, the 3rd, one of those days, the 4th. And I don't know, we were all in shock of like, is this a joke? Is this what's happening? Well, don't worry, you'll be back in a week. It was so foreign territory, and we were all like in shock. So he gets put on admin leave, and he was like, well, what do I do? Like, where do I go? So he can't be with the team. He then decides, well, I'm just gonna go train. He's mid-season. He's like, I'm gonna be back in a week, so I need to go throw. So we decide that, you know, he was like, well, I can't fly with the team. He's like, I don't want to fly commercial because paparazzi's following us everywhere. It was like crazy. Trevor's a frugal person and just not the kind of person to charter a jet despite signing a, $40+ million contract. So he was like, let's just drive. And I think he just needed to drive and get his head clear. This was just a mind fuck for all of us. So the Dodgers rent him a car, and John talks to me. He's like, you need to drive with him. Someone goes through something that traumatic and life-changing and shocking, someone needs to be with them. So I was like, okay. Like, I had packed for like 2 days to be out there, and it turned into like 2.5 weeks. We drove across the country. I offered to drive at times. He said, I'm driving the entire way because I need to keep my mind busy. And we stopped in some cool places to just like take our mind off things. But it was such a somber, sad, upsetting, like depressing drive. It was awful. And we go back to Arizona, and that's where he came back to. Initially, Trevor had been kind of the person there for me through all of the obstacles and the struggles. And Trevor's career in many ways was just cruising, while I'm still trying to get my foot in the door. I'm still trying to find success, and I'm still having doors slammed in my face. And suddenly this kind of pivotal moment happens, and the night before it all came out, Trevor called me and said, I want you to drop me as a client. And I was kind of in shock of like, what? What are you asking me to do? He was like, you worked really hard to get here. You deserve to be successful. And you're gonna get dragged through the mud for this because you're a female. Because I'm gonna get dragged through the mud because anybody associated with me will. And you're a very public figure on social media. So people know, there are plenty of baseball players and athletes who get in trouble, but no one knows who their agent is really. Or if they know, their agent's not on social media. So no one can tag them and shit on them, but I was a target. So he said, look, like it's, at the time, we're kind of in the height of like the Me Too movement. He's like, you're a female, you gotta drop me. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, stop. And that was kind of the end of the conversation. And the next morning I called him and I was like, I'm not walking away. My job as an agent is to be there for my clients through the good, the great times, the winning the Cy Young, the signing a record-breaking contract, but also the shitty times, also the bad. And this is This is really bad. And I know the truth. I know you didn't do these things. I know that. I know that with my life. So if I walk away, I'm being selfish. I'm only thinking about my brand. And I'm not really being an agent. And that's what my job is. My job is to be there for players, not to have some brand. Like, the brand is helpful in a lot of ways and to recruit and to inspire young girls, but that's not what my job is. Like, I'm a lawyer and I'm an agent. And so that means that when I know you did nothing bad, you did nothing wrong, but you got screwed, like, I'm gonna be there. And so I kind of, now the roles really switched, and I was there for him. And it was some of the darkest times, I think, of his life. And I had to put, as tough as it was for me, my mind switched. It was, you are now his agent, you are his person that is just going to be his rock, and you're going to be there for him. And you put everything else, whatever people are saying about you on Twitter, whatever, the media or the haters or the trolls are saying, it doesn't matter right now, because now you got to take care of him. And so that was kind of a shift. The worst tweet I probably got, the one that probably upset me the most, was right after everything happened. And it was right before my birthday, that said, the only thing you deserve to get for your birthday is raped. And shocking in so many ways. Like, number one, I don't see the logic there. Number two, what did I do? Trevor did nothing. other than associating with the wrong people. But what did I do? And I'm just trying to do my job now, but also advocate for the truth. And as a lawyer, I think I understand this more than the average person, but there's a lot of facts and evidence that don't come out in the media. And like, you can't judge off of one version of the story. And I think we kind of ended up seeing that later on. But I got a lot of horrible things. I ended up like hiring someone to like manage my social media for a while. I used to be really active and engaging with fans, and then people were like, "Where'd you go? Why aren't you, talking to us anymore and engaging, and what the fuck?" And you know what? I realized like it's a privilege to have access to an agent who's willing to be so transparent, who's willing to engage with you, who's willing to answer your questions. It's not a right. And so if people are going to vandalize my account or just shit on me nonstop, then you don't deserve to have me take time out of my day to try to interact with you and to engage with you. So I stopped for a while, like responding to a lot of people, and I generally now tend to not respond as much. I just go on to tweet what I'm going to tweet and usually get off. I was actually on TikTok at the time, a couple years ago, and some troll, probably some young boy, tried to correct me about some baseball topic related to salary arbitration versus free agency, and he was completely wrong. He wrote to me on TikTok and said, "Don't talk about baseball if you don't know it, stick to painting your nails." And I decided to respond to him. I corrected him and told him why he's wrong, and then kind of made a little bit of a joke in a little video saying something to the effect of, "I know more about baseball than you, and I have prettier nails while doing it," and kind of blew him a kiss. And a guy who does the marketing for Orly Nail Polish, who has been kind of front and center as a brand championing women in sports, they kind of reached out to me and asked if I wanted my own nail polish line, and we named it Painted Corners, kind of an ode to baseball. And the whole kind of thought behind it was, you can be girly while also still being really good at your job and knowing the same things that the boys know. And so that's kind of been a passion of mine from that moment too, is finding a way to tie in my love for some girly things, for nails and, painting my nails and being proud of being a female, but also knowing my shit and being good at it. To anybody who is getting hated on social media, I would say I think it's really important to take a step back and rewire kind of your framework as to how you look at it. Because the one thing I've really learned, and this is so true, people that are hating on you because you're doing better than them. You're doing something that they're jealous of, that they're envious of. Think about every person in the world that you kind of know about that has made a difference, that has done something remarkable, that has inspired people. There is 50% of the world that has something negative to say about them. So you have to be okay with that. And if you're not okay with that, that's okay. But being in the spotlight or making a difference or, putting yourself out there isn't the path for you. People that feel rejected, I think they need to realize that you don't have to be accepted to still succeed. Trevor Bauer right now, in this moment, when we're filming this, is, being rejected by MLB. But he hasn't stopped succeeding. I think that's really important. He hasn't let that prevent him from succeeding in life. In all the ways in which I have felt rejected, it's tough to realize that a group of people don't want you, but there's always a different path. There's always another way to succeed. Your success and being successful and being fulfilled is not dependent on whether others right now accept you. Trevor's company is momentum, and the people that make up the company, they're family.
What's up, everyone? We are Momentum, and we're here to make the most entertaining baseball content in the world.
They're some of my best friends, and they're a huge support system, I would say, for both Trevor and me. And I think they're really, in a lot of ways, also the foundation of what has helped Trevor and myself help bring eyeballs to the game of baseball. They deserve a lot of credit for that.
Playing here, the ball doesn't go anywhere. Most of their offense came in one game. Their big lefty, he had 15 RBIs in one game. Hit like 4 homers. His swing plane, it's flat. So anything with depth, he really struggles with. Yesterday, like splitter and curveball, he stood no chance.
Trevor is currently fighting to get him back into MLB, as we say here today. But I think, one of the important things that I've had to learn, and that I know he's had to learn throughout this, is everything happens for a reason, and you have to find the silver lining to it. And Trevor said to me, I want to be the most internationally recognizable name in baseball in 5 years.
It's time to win a ball game. Let's go.
And I was like, I love it. That's a great goal. And when we were planning how he was going to do that, it looked a lot different. We never could have foreseen the things that have happened. But when I sit here today and I look at what Trevor's doing, he really has become, short of Shohei Ohtani, the most recognizable name internationally in baseball. And it's not the way he wanted to do it at all. It's not what he thought he was going to do. But, he's taken a slightly different path to kind of get there. But with going over to Japan, with now, playing in Mexico, he's been able to make an international impact on the game of baseball, also through his YouTube channel. Like, what he has done and how recognizable he is as a baseball player now, and how influential and important as a baseball player he is, there's something to be said for that. And again, it's not quite the path that he thought he would take, but I think what he's doing is special regardless. I fall on my face time and time again, but I think I try to view my life, my career, everything in a very holistic way, and realize that every time I fail, it's just one step closer to success. No outside person can really stop you from doing what you want to do if you're disciplined enough and determined enough to accomplish it. And I think, people who have aspirations and goals that might not seem achievable in the beginning, or might not seem achievable to the general public, I think they have to be okay with failing, but realize that just because you fail doesn't mean you're a failure, and it can't break you. It can't stop you. And if you can just kind of embody that, and that mindset that failing's okay, and that you can always just get back up and keep going, then I think you kind of get to a point where you realize that ultimately, you're in control of your life, and you can get bent and twisted and mangled along the way, but you gotta know you'll always get back up and you can keep going. I live my life failing my way to success. You can't break me. I'm never going to stop. I will always find a way. And I think that is a core piece of who I am. I've talked about my childhood as a gymnast and the lessons that I've learned, that in order to stick a skill and nail it perfectly, it just requires failure, hundreds of times first to then succeed. So I think, the way I try to live my life is just, you almost want to fail. Because if you're not failing, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. And the more you fail, the closer you'll get to success. So if you're not failing, you're almost that's a failure in and of itself, in the truest sense of the word. I think sitting here today and looking at Luba Sports and all of the bumps in the road and the moments where I felt like I was at rock bottom, it's just another reminder that I'm unbreakable. You can keep firing every shot at me, but I'm gonna keep continuing to do what I want to do and to help players and grow my brand and my business. And it might not be the traditional way, and it might not be the way that most people agree with, and might not be what most people or everyone deems as successful, but like, I have a vision, I know what I want to do, and I'm excited for the future.